Hello, good morning, everyone. John Henry Soto here. Welcome to 7 a.m. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the music industry and what the hell is going on. Stay tuned. All right. Good morning, everyone. John Henry Soto here. Welcome to 7 a.m. Today is March 31st, 2021, last day of the month. And decided that I was going to put a show together on music. Now, when I say the music industry, it's too broad. It's not the music industry. There's some stuff going on that just I think it's very isolated, but there's a lot of money backing behind it, and we're gonna dive into it a little bit. This obviously is all my viewpoint. It's my opinion, right? I'm not one to stand back and hold back my views, and especially if it's I've researched it and it was true to me because of what I actually have witnessed. Um, but I want to dive into a little bit of on this subject and maybe get some feedback from you guys if you're interested. So um, I grew up. I love music. I grew up listening to music. My grandparents were big music lovers. I had a lot of uncles that played guitar. My grandma would visit from Puerto Rico, and when she would come, it would be a huge event. It was like, like the Pope was visiting, right? And we would have to have the rocking chair would have to be reupholstered, and it would have to be put into the center of the room. We had to make sure we had the right coffee. It was a big deal when my great grandma, I should not my grandma, my great grandmother, my grandfather's mother, when she would come to visit, it was a huge deal. And when I was 5 years old, she called me over to the rocking chair she was sitting in, and the rocking chair, the handrail of the rocking chair was about this height, but to my head. Now I'm short now, so can you imagine a 5 year old John Henry Soto being asked to come over here? And they called me Tito back then. That was my family calls me Tito till this day. And so she calls me over. She said, "Tito, come here." And I'm 5 years old, so I kind of walk over there. She said, "Give me your hand." And she looks at my hand. And she says, "You're going to be a guitar player." She looks at my finger. She goes, "Yeah, you're going to be a guitar player." And she kind of had this thing. Of course, I have no idea what she's talking about. I was interested in music, but I wasn't really showing any signs of anything. Of course, shortly after that, I started getting more interested in, not because of what she said, because I don't remember that coming into my consciousness again afterwards, other than it was a story that I remembered growing up. Um, but I must have been interested in it, and I remember grabbing the brooms and pretending it was a guitar. And then when I was about 9 years old, or when I was 9 years old, my grandfather grabbed me by the hand and he said, "Let's go, stop messing up our brooms." And he bought me this really beautiful uh, Spanish style guitar, nylon strings. Um, and that began my journey. All my uncles played, and they taught me a couple of chords, and that's where the love of music. I used to love listening to music always. I don't remember a day not listening to music. I don't remember a day not thinking about it. And the reason I mentioned this is because this is not. I'm not just going into the music industry conversation just because it's in the news or because people are talking about it. It's something that it's very passionate to me. It's the first thing that I remember doing and creatively that I was involved in, and it's a very important part of my life. So that's why I'm talking about this. And Another thing, a reason is that I have. For those of you who follow my content, they understand that I really have no fear in communicating my views, right? And part of the reason, I think people are afraid of losing friends, or they're afraid of getting banned from one of the platforms, or because they're saying something that goes against whatever they view as truth, whether they researched it or not. Most of them haven't, but I do a lot of research. I spend a lot of time like trying to figure out and dissect things to make sure I'm making an educated decision based on numbers, statistics, emotions. I don't get too emotional about stuff. But another reason why um, I'm not afraid to communicate is because I've sort of already made it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to understand and put into context of where how I grew up. I grew up in the South Bronx, a lot of violence. By the age of 16, I had already witnessed murders in front of me, broad daylight. I've seen what someone looks like when they get executed. Not to be so dramatic so early in the morning here, but I want you to understand that I made it out of that environment to into New York City. I lived in the Upper West Side. I started a band. I recorded records. I played. I had a great time. I met an amazing woman. I got married. I have two amazing kids. I live in Jersey now. I have a lot of other projects coming up. As a matter of fact, yesterday I had amazing thing happen. Um, and I have a lot of hope and a lot of dreams that have come true already for me. So I look at life as like I'm kind of like I did it. I got out of this environment which a lot of people don't get out of. We used to have a joke back then where if you made it past 20, you kind of made it. It was like, oh, you're 20 years old, you made it. Because not many people made it past 20 years old. So it's another thing, another reason why I'm not afraid to communicate about this. But let's dive into the actual conversation. So there's a lie. There's a tremendous, tremendous, huge lie being told to us music lovers that this is what the people want. That it's a lie. It is a tremendous, huge lie. If you think for a second that the people want what's being heard, what we saw on the Grammys, some of the performances that we saw now, granted, on the Grammys there were also some great performances as well. I do think there's some talented people, but they weren't what everyone is talking about. Everyone is talking about the basically the two young ladies who had a profession of stripping their clothes to and now became stars, and now they're not really good at singers or dancers, or maybe they can dance. I don't know. I've seen them dancing. I don't see anything special about it, but there is a huge lie that the American people and the world want this. And you can actually do your own poll. You don't have to take my word for it, right? Grab, just go around, post it on your social media. Do you think the music is this person's music? And I'm not even going to say her name, but if you think her music, because we all know who I'm talking about, do you think her music is better than, and then pick somebody from Diana Ross, Whitney Houston, who had her troubles, obviously, right? But the talent was ridiculous, right? Aretha Franklin. Let's go back. Etta James. Let's go back to some, real amazing, soulful, beautiful, talented people. Let's go back to Marvin Gaye. What can you say? You know what I mean? It's not much to say about Marvin Gaye. He was just the man. Luther Vandross, Teddy Pendergrass, Smokey Robinson, who's still kicking it. And let's take some of those artists and some of those songs and let's put it side by side with what was on the Grammys, what was acceptable, what was actually totally fine. As a matter of fact, Paramount, a big organization, posted a picture of the image of them actually grinding each other on stage, and said, "Wow, this is the kind of heat that we needed, to get us through." It's just a complete lie. There is some kind of underneath sinister thing going on where things are being pushed through and being shoved into our children's faces for some odd reason, which I do not understand. I mean, obviously there has to be some type of a plan, but the big thing was like, well, it's an adult show. Well, no, it's not. No, it's not. I grew up watching the Grammys. I remember watching the Grammys in the 80s and seeing all these amazing people coming up and I remember probably Lionel Richie was one of my first earliest remembering, where I remember him just having coming out and doing these great amazing tracks, you know. Um my cat got in here. Sorry. Um So I remember the Grammys. The Grammys is not for adults only. It's never said that. If that were the case, in the beginning of the show, they would say something, and maybe they did, and I didn't see that part. This is an adult show. Viewer discretion is advised. It's from ages whatever to whatever. But um, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't. And then the other excuse is another thing that I heard this person performer say was, well, it's not my job to raise your children. That's your responsibility. She's right. She is right. It is our responsibility. But when you get put in a position of power, it is your responsibility to actually carry yourself in a way that's actually going to improve society. That's just maybe I'm crazy about that. Maybe a person's popularity shouldn't be used to make anyone, to make the world better. I don't know. I disagree with that. I think if you've been given an opportunity to influence others and in a tremendous in a huge platform, then you should really consider having some type of moral values when you go out and try to improve society, to improve the world, because what else are you here for? Are you here to come in, destroy the world, and then just leave and leave it trashed because you wanted to make some money? Because it's all about money, right? I mean, it's all about money, it's about power, it's about control. And that's what the industry is. But I guarantee you that it's all a lie. There is nobody interested more in that stuff than, say, someone like I mean, who do I like right now that's out? I like Bruno Mars. I think Bruno Mars is talented. Now, does is his music a little bit risque in some areas? Yeah, but that's been going on for years, right? There's no difference, from "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" from the '60s. The Rolling Stones got banned, right? Elvis Presley dancing and shaking his hips got banned on television because they didn't think that was appropriate. So there was a time when this was already kind of happening, and there was a little bit of censorship happening, right? Um, the Doors on Ed Sullivan were told not to sing the song, the lyrics can't get any higher. They couldn't say higher, right? And of course, he went on there and said it louder and right to the camera, and it's live television, so they got banned from the show, but they did it anyway. And that's what it was about. But this is the difference. There was an interesting mystery about it. You didn't know exactly what "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" meant. It could have been so many different things. There was a mystery behind that. There was a mystery even behind Black Sabbath, who had the dark side, it was just a mystery. It was talking in metaphors. All these things were in teasing and having your imagination, be filled with your own thoughts and your own creativity. Um, what's happening today is just blatant, disgusting, basically almost porn like, right? Happening on network television and approved. This is the thing that amazes me. Approved and not no, I mean, obviously there was some outrage and I think there was some backlash. And at the end of the day, I think that this artist is probably hurting deeply, because I don't think she's a bad person. I think she understands that she has some power, but there is money, there is pressure. She's created this image already. It's hard for her to just back out and suddenly say, I'm going to be Mary Poppins, and I'm going to sing. I'm going to just be, she's not going to be able to do that at this point. She's pushed herself into a corner where now this is kind of her thing. It's the thing that you don't really want to be known for. it's gonna stick with you. I'll give you an example. Is probably Madonna, right? Madonna in the '80s was pushing the boundaries, late '80s, '90s, right? And everybody was outraged. I mean, she had a book just called Sex, right? The book was just pretty straightforward, right? Um, and there was no, she was just kind of letting things out. She had a documentary with some crazy things in it, and there was no. She kind of, for me, in my opinion, I think she was much more interesting, in the mid '80s to the probably the early '90s before things started getting a little bit. I don't even remember what year it was, but after that book came out and after this whole stuff started happening, she became less interesting. And she was still creating music that was still pretty good, But I think that when you look at her now, she's still trying to capture something that she was. I mean, I think she's 60 now or something, And not to say that a 60-year-old can't get it done, right? They can, but I think if she were to have carried herself a little bit more, she would be more distinguished today and be revered a little bit more as an artist. Somebody like Aretha Franklin, right? Aretha Franklin was just had an amazing career. I look at Patti LaBelle. I look at Dionne Warwick. I look at, gosh, I mean, who else? Gladys Knight. I look at these performers who had these great careers and kept their, they were just so distinguished. They were so captivating. They just kept their presence. So when they show up, when Aretha Franklin will walk on stage at her the latest age, she walked out there and it was like a queen was walking out there. You know, I mean, do you think that any of these artists, Madonna, or walk out and people are just like, no, they just kind of like looking at what is she wearing, and this is the demise of our culture at hand, and this is the result of what happens to an artist that decides to take that route. They decide to just go, you know what, just gonna make money. I'm gonna be controversial. I'm gonna push the issue. I'm gonna say and do things that are inappropriate, and let the pieces fall when they may. And then there's a machine behind them that's actually kind of pushing that and supporting it. Because of a record label, I would think a record label, again, they're selling records, right? The bottom line is money, right? People are interested. People are like, well, what is this song? Let me go hear this song, right? And there you have an advertising, and the algorithms of the system goes on, and Spotify looks at the numbers, how many views, and it gets picked up, and then it's all money, it's all that, and it's all attention, right? Money, flows towards attention, right? But how long can that sustain? How long can something that is really not good, just pure musical, just listen to the music, the musical element of it, it's not good. It isn't good. Now, of course, just my opinion, right? Everybody has their right. If you want to listen to that, you think that that's better than, say, you know, good Lord. I mean, so many artists, my head wants to explode, but I'm a blues guy. I love the blues, right? And, you can listen to Eric Clapton, who's had an amazing career, has never really had any other than he had some drug problems and alcohol problems, which he resolved. Um, had some tragedies in his life, managed to carry himself and be a very distinguished guy now, right? BB King, same issue, same thing. So I'm looking at these artists and I'm saying to myself, if you have that type of power, and I'm talking about fame like an Eric Clapton fame, um, that kind of a fame, and you squander it, you're basically just saying, I'm already famous. The funny thing is, she could have gone a completely different route. She could have gone famous and been like, I was famous for this, but you know what? I'm gonna pull back a little bit. I'm gonna be a little bit more refined, and I'm gonna be a little bit. I'm gonna take a little bit a closer look into my career and the opportunities I have, and I'm gonna surround myself with people that are gonna actually elevate my personality. Or not my personality, but elevate my brand and make it better. I'm going to make it cleaner. I'm going to make it And I don't mean cleaner. You can actually say things. You can curse if you want to curse, whatever. But it's not even cursing anymore. It's just straight out disgusting communication, having nothing to do with anything other than like just dirty, dirty sex, right? That's what it's about. And that's where it gets extremely sad to see an individual with so much potential and power destroy her life and influence young girls. And you think they're not being influenced? You think that they're not? There's a video right now that you can see of people twerking, like in doing basically to her song, doing one of those moves in front, and there's a little girl, and the little girl is kind of like almost like shocked, but she's looking, she's watching. She's watching. Kids watch. I have two kids. I know they pay attention. Sometimes I'm talking to my wife about something, and maybe we're having a little heated discussion, not yelling, because I don't yell, even though I'm Puerto Rican. I don't yell. We're having a little heated discussion, and I hear, and later on, my son will say something. He's 4 years old. He'll say, "Yeah, but Daddy said that." He's hearing. They're all hearing. They're paying attention. So don't you think that you should actually use your powers and try to influence kids to be just better people instead of going deeper and deeper into the mud? I mean, there is so much. If we stopped making music, God forbid, but if music stopped, I mean, it seems like it has. There's still wonderful music being made. Chick Corea won a couple of Grammys that night. He passed away, rest in peace. But he, an amazing album. Bruno Mars performed. There was some great, great performances that were out there. So I'm not knocking the artist, the the major, but I'm looking at it as where's the attention going right now? Where is that going? And I'm only talking about one artist. I didn't even talk about the other artist that has the sneakers, the Satan sneakers with the blood in them or whatever. Now stuff like that. There's a video he's dancing, giving the devil a lap dance. I mean, who came up with that concept? I don't even. It's not even creative. It's just saying, well, what is the worst thing that we can do? All right, let's do that. Let's film it and let's put it out there and let's try to. And of course, Nike is all upset about it because it's their sneaker that has the 666 and now represents Satan on your feet. Um, you know, now of course things like that have been going on a long time. You have Marilyn Manson, you have even Black Sabbath had that darkness to them. But again, it was always with metaphors. It was always making you think about stuff. Of course, I don't really know Manson music per se. I can't really tell you how bad or how good it is. I do know that it had those elements to it, but this again, it's not creative. You know what I mean? It's just blatant. It's like there it is. It's like it's nothing interesting. You know what I mean? I mean, there's so many. You can be so sexy, a woman, and a guy can go out there and really get. I mean, Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye. Look at some videos of Marvin Gaye going on stage and saying that is sexuality, 1,000% without even showing or saying anything, because it's just a very, very sensual performances and it's covered in the art. It's with art. It's saying it's okay to love. It's okay to make love. It's okay to be passionate. It's okay to love, to have tremendous love for someone, But when you break that down and you take out the creative part and you just throw in just the filth, and that becomes the actual cover over your art, you've lost the game, man. You got no art there. And it's, again, my opinion, right? Everybody's gonna say, well, they have the right to create whatever art that they want. And I was like, I don't know about that. I mean, yes, they do have the right. We're in America. We have certain freedoms here, right? We still have certain freedoms here, right? And if that is what's going to be supported, we're going to cancel Dr. Seuss because of some issues that were written a long time ago. That's the way things were, and it's history. It's unfortunate history, right? We have an ugly history in this country. It doesn't mean we have to erase it. It means we have to learn from it. We have to take it and dissect it and be like, this is why this was wrong, not cancel it and just delete history. Same thing with this music that's going on right now. What are you doing? Why not? Why isn't that being canceled? Why are we supporting that and canceling Dr. Seuss and other just people? We're canceling people now. Just you can't say those kind of things. But yet someone can go on and lick their tongues together on stage, live television at the Grammys, and lick their tongues, with COVID going around, and all the concerns of, I always have my mask with me because I have to run in and out of the house. So that's why I always have this around. Always being cautious. We're always being told, wear double masks. Where's your vaccine card? You can't now do certain things. All this regulation and this control going on. And yet, here we are, national television, the Grammys, three women licking their tongues on screen and grinding their private parts together. What's happening, man? What's happening? But you know what it's going to take? It's just going to, the change is only going to come from us. It's going to come from individuals that are passionate about music, that are putting music out, that are creating a wonderful environment for other artists and other musicians to be inspired by. It's just going to be us, and there are a lot of other musicians in the world that feel the way I feel. You can look at artists like Sting, one of the greatest musicians ever. Um, Complex melodies, amazing chord changes, beautiful music, and very successful. Very successful. This guy's never written a dirty song in his life. The Fields of Gold, and I mean the list goes on. The album Ten Sumner's Tale is, to me, one of the greatest albums of all time. Listen to that album, and it's just pure spiritual connection. It's just pure music at its finest. You listen to what's happening right now, and it just, and I know I'm harboring on this, for the whole show, but it really, I just wanted to communicate of how I feel about this and sad how sad this is. Now, on the positive side, I should have probably spoken more positive earlier, right? But there you have it. This is going to go a little longer today, so I apologize, and I hope you stick with me here. But on the positive side, we do have amazing musicians right now out there playing. I know I've met a lot of amazing musicians in my day. And I love what they do, and I try to help artists as much as I can, especially when I see they're coming from a good creative place where they're going to make the world better. I want people to see that. So that's why I put that, and that's why I put myself into situations where I'm helping artists try to navigate through their career and try to give them opportunities. And if I see something that could be an opportunity for artists, I'll just go. I'm not taking the opportunity myself, because I feel that I have a platform. I have people, reach out to me for certain things, and if they do, I always have to say, okay, well, how can I expand this and try to help other artists, and that's what's passionate for me. So there is a positive side on this. One thing we have to do is we have to, like, not listen to this. If it's out in the news or anything, don't be curious about it. Just know that it's just dirty. It's just dirty, especially if it's coming from these artists. It's just not good. And then the creative sad part about it is that it's not even good music. It's not produced well. It's the sounds are very, we've heard it all before. It's that heavy boom boom boom, that whatever that stuff is. It's just very generic. And the only thing is that it's not even good rapping, to be honest with you. I mean, there's great hip hop out there. I mean, great hip hop out there. Guys that are, and gals that are amazing, and so I'm going to end off there because I can go on probably for another hour. But folks, please, please pay attention, and have don't be afraid to communicate your views out there. You know, life, one life is short, right? We can have other lives depending on what you believe in, whether we go to heaven, where, whatever it is. We're in these physical bodies right now in present time for, if you're lucky, 90 years, right? If you're lucky, 90 years goes by like that, right? It's very, very quick. It's 9 decades. How fast does a decade go? You're involved in your life. You turn around, suddenly you've gone by 5 decades. Yeah, wow, that was amazing. What a ride, right? It happens very, very fast. It's okay to communicate something, even if you know you're going to get hit a little bit, because it's our responsibility to try to navigate thought and to have people think for themselves. Don't just be have things shoved down your throat by the either social media or just regular media. Have your say. You can go on and you can comment on these posts and say this is disgusting. This should not be on television, or this should not be on social media. You know, now we're not talking about censoring. Censoring is different. I'm not saying that she shouldn't be allowed to do her music. I'm saying it should not be on national television where children can see it. One, it's not good anyway. But anyway, it's the song of the year. It is the song of the year. A song about a woman's private part being wet. It is the song of the year. You're telling me that we're not seeing the decline of society? The song of the year. Listen, grab the song of the year from 30 years ago, you know, and tell me what that song was. I probably should have done that just some reference. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, song of the year, and listen to what the song of the year is today. I posted the lyrics. If you go to my How About That page, Facebook page, is where I put all my rants and political stuff on there. It's called How About That. I'm sorry, How About This? How about this? I put the Cardi B's lyrics. I said her name now. I put her lyrics down on there, so you can read what the song of the year is. So please understand. It's early morning. I'm coming up here at 7 a.m. to kind of rant, which I don't normally do on this morning show. But I'm making an exception today because I'm so saddened by what's happening, and I feel like that there is still a lot of hope, and that there is still a lot of people that want good music, and we are going to get there, and I promise we're going to get there. All right, folks, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll be much more relaxed, and I'll be talking about beautiful, positive things. And I think this was positive. I think this is a positive thing. I think it's a positive thing for us to understand that there is hope out there, and there are wonderful things that we can do as artists and get out there. All right, folks. Thank you very much. God bless you. See you all tomorrow. And as always,